Hello, welcome to the F Word discussions. Myself and Francois back in Cape Town, and we're actually at all the offices because we have good news. We're almost moving into brand new offices, but it will take a couple of weeks for us to get settled that side. Francois, let's get into it. I saw a client contact me last week, and he said, "Can I please assist or make a suggestion because his retirement annuity he currently invests in is not growing. Or he doesn't feel it's growing. Is it in the right funds and all of that?" And then I said, "Okay, send me the statement." Because you need to look at two things. You need to look at the funds, yes, which funds are invested, but very importantly, fees. Now, please put on for us, share with the screen the fees that these companies charge. It actually is criminal. And it's not just criminal for the company who charges these fees, but for the person who advised it in the first place. Because, I mean, if you can just see there on the screen, it's incredible. If you look at the 1 year fees they charge. So in our industry, we look at effective annual cost, EAC, and that incorporates all three fees that can be charged. So that's the investment management fee. So that's the fund fees, which 1.36% is not that bad.
No.
That's not the problem here. Then the advice fee in this specific products is 7% in the first year. And then the administration fee, it's incredible. It's 12.83%. But let's just quickly look at the two. So advice fees on these, we call it older products, but it's also annuities that you get with life companies. Meaning you as a client signs an agreement. So if you're 30 years old, they say for the next 35 years until you're 65, you are locked into this agreement. You can't get out of it. You can't pause your contribution. You can't withdraw some money. It's completely inflexible. And you sign a contract now to say that you will contribute your 2,000 Rand per year for the next 35 years. And for that, Mr. Advisor, I give you an upfront commission.
Yep.
So that's how it works. You sign a contract for a long-term contract. You'll see for the next 30 years, this client needs to contribute, and the advisor has already got his upfront commission. He's happy, and he never contacts the client again, and he just moves away. So that's the old school of doing it. What we suggest everybody, the newer school, or just because of for fees purposes, is an open-ended annuity, meaning you can pause your contribution, you can stop it completely, you can increase it, you can decrease it as your life changes it. The advisor does not get an upfront fee, he gets a percentage on the assets as it grows. So the more it grows, yes, the more the advisor gets, but he's basically forced to be in the long term for this.
Yes.
You need to have a long-term relationship with the client. And so there normally the advice fee would be 0.5% or 0.75% per year instead of the 7%. So this was just crazy for me to see what the effective annual cost is. The effective annual cost should be more or less about 2.5, and that's what the actuaries will say. Yes, it is 2.5 in the 30 years time, but in between those time, we know a person's life changes a lot.
Yes.
You can't be fixed into this financial plan and say that's your financial plan for the rest of your rest of your life, because we know life does this. We go through cycles, and we need to be able to adjust, to have the flexibility to adjust our financial plans. And these old school, very expensive products does not provide any flexibility for that, and the client pays a hell of a lot of fees, and the money won't grow.
Yeah.
So you've obviously seen this before as well.
I've seen this before. We had this chat this morning. But I think the question is, maybe you can explain to people out there why it's actually a problem for your fees to be that high. How does it actually have a detrimental effect on the growth?
Yeah, so obviously, when you look at market returns, so the market returns 10%, that's before fees, and then net of fees, all of these layers of cost must be deducted. Now, I know that actuaries, if there's any actuaries sitting in one of these companies, will explain to you the 12.83% is only if you disinvest now. The client doesn't pay that because obviously the client's investment will then be minus 10% in the first year of the market growth, 10%. So it's not unlocked until a certain action is taking place. But that's my whole problem with this product, is you can't do any action as a client because they've locked me into this, or my advisor never told me you got upfront commission of, and that's quite a lot of commission, that's why people do this, they get wrongly incentivized to sell these products. So definitely, It's not, they won't charge a 20% and minus it at the beginning, but definitely it takes away a lot of your growth that you could have accumulated over that 30 years. So even though the fee is lower at 2.570 in 30 years time, the amount of wealth you lost in between the time, and you don't have the flexibility to pause. Just in another example, I had a client, he said, I'm investing 10,000 into a retirement annuity every month, and I'm locked in for 30 years. Now, on paper, you say, great, 10,000 Rand, you will be well off one day. But he said, my need really actually now is just to provide a home to buy a house for my family. That's my short-term need. But now he's locked into this retirement annuity and he cannot stop because then he have a massive penalty. That's the other thing. They take a massive penalty if you do stop because you signed this contract. And not a lot of clients know that they've signed that contract. And I think that's where you must just be very clear when you take out any investment product is be very cautious of this. And I would just say, ask your advisor, is he getting any upfront advice fee?
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way to know is this guy selling me a policy and he gets most of upfront fees now, or is he in it for the long term?
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to differentiate.
And maybe do you know with the administration cost being that high? Because I haven't seen admin costs be that high before. What do you think is underneath there? Why is that so expensive?
Yeah, there's different, like I said, the different companies actually structured in very different ways. And we asked these companies, they all come back with different answers. That's for the bonus that my client's going to get one day. And that's how they lure these guys as well. One day you're going to get a bonus. You just need to save for 30 years. And by the way, you paid for that bonus. Because the companies are never going to give you money for free. So they say you're going to get this bonus, you're going to get this payout, you're going to get all of this. You pay it for Mr. Client. It's not extra, but this way we kind of force you. So they keep that back. They kind of force you to one day give your bonus, and they must pay that advice fee to the advisor somehow.
Yeah.
Somewhere the money must come from. Yeah. It's from you, the client. So it's very difficult to dissect because all the companies are different. But just know you as a client are paying incredible amount of fees.
Yeah, I think all these bonuses and everything that you get loyalty bonuses at the end of the term, all that stuff. From what I've seen, in my personal opinion, a lot of it is basically just your fees that are disguised and that get paid back to you at the end of the day. So, clients out there, just try and stay away from these type of products. Speak to a financial advisor, get the right advice, and if it's to your advantage, try and move to something that's a little bit more clean price.
Yes, and lastly, to be said on this, and it's mostly the agents who sell this, meaning they work for these companies, not independent advisors, because I can guarantee you an independent advisor, meaning not working for a specific insurance or life company, will not sell you this. I can guarantee you that it's mostly the agents that can only sell this company's product. He will be forced to sell this because he gets like a commission up front, and he's got targets that he needs to reach. Yeah. So mostly that's where we look at these products.
Yeah, thanks for that, Hugh.
Enough about this. Yeah, so this gives us industry a bad name. I'm fuming every time I see this. It does happen, and I can't believe people still do it. So put us in a better mood. What do you have for us? Give us something else that we can discuss.
We've been speaking a lot about the emotional side of finance. One of the biggest things, our job isn't just to help people get rich, stay rich, build wealth, build assets, try and assist our clients, whatever the goals are. But I think there are a few other jobs that we have, and one of those things is to protect families, protect people, right? And a way that you can do that is through finance. Now, one of the biggest things that I love telling my clients is what will happen with your cash flow if you are retrenched now? Where are you going to be? Which financial position are you going to be in? And I think that's very important for people to have an emergency fund. That backup savings that you've got. If you've got 3 months of expenses, at least you know that whatever happens, I can pay all my bills for the next 3 months. I can get a job within the next 3 months. And I think the amount of pressure that gets alleviated by knowing that and having that, the amount of pressure that it takes off of your wife, your family, stuff like that is huge.
That peace of mind is incredibly a lot more valuable than that 3 month saving. And I know Bill Gates, I spoke to him in his video, he had in his company 12 months. He was very conservative. He said 12 months should be able to pay my running expenses. So for a whole year, I need to have money in cash. Very important to have that emergency fund just for that peace of mind.
And I think you said it, actually, you summed it up very, very nicely. It's not just for individuals.
Yeah.
It's for companies as well. So if you're being a prudent, business owner, entrepreneur, have something like that, because you never know if something like COVID can happen again. Touch wood, doesn't happen ever again, but we never saw that coming. And I think that's the other thing as well. You never see these type of things coming if you knew it was coming.
Yeah, if you knew it was coming, you were prepared. So this is one way to prepare, 100%. Okay, so emergency fund.
Yes, 100%. Have an emergency fund. That's just my biggest thing for today. Just as a little bit of emotional safeguarding for yourself, for your family, just have that. And different people have got different rules. What do you usually tell your clients? How many months of expenses do they need to
Yeah, I had the question the other day. So is it 3 months of my total salary? Is it 3 months of my must-have expenses because I'm not going to invest anymore? So I would say if you have 6 or 3 months of your total salary, I would say is a good starting point because 95% of people won't have that. If you want to be a bit more conservative, maybe 6 months is like the ideal.
Yeah.
But I won't necessarily just put it in money market. I will just put it in the income fund so it at least still grows. If you're not using that money, if the emergency is not there, at least your money keeps track of inflation. You don't want to put the money under the mattress as well, because then it's losing value, and if the storm never comes out, I lose. So that's the way insurance works. So this is not insurance. This is still, it needs to grow with inflation. So I'll put in an income fund, very conservative, but you have that 6 months. But if you don't use it, at least the money still grows.
Yes, 100%. And I'm sort of on the same page with that. I also advise my clients on at least 3 months. But again, have something like that.
And sorry, lastly on that point, I know a lot of clients pay off their house sooner, so they have a flexible bond. And now with interest rates being high, it's not a bad idea to put some extra money into your pay off your home loan quicker, but you have the flexibility. Should something really happen, you do have access to the money. And at the moment, I don't think that's a bad idea because interest rates are so high.
That's a great point. Thanks, Geo.
Thank you. Yeah, any questions or topics that you want us to discuss, feel free to let us know.